Totally kick-ass dude. Next up, we have Jason Savage, former 21 Convention speaker from 2009 in Orlando. He's now a couple thousand miles away in Stockholm, Sweden. Jason Savage has been a romance artist and seduction specialist for over a decade. He has taught the process of seduction all across North America. For the past 3 years, he has called Austin, Texas home, but now he's given up all his material possessions to create the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Seduction and his new travel series, Lovers Without Borders. Got it. I was like, what? Long story short, this guy's a total badass. One of my favorite guys from last year. I really appreciate you coming, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kick some ass, man.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I can't even fucking believe I'm here. This is insane. To be in one of the most beautiful countries in the world, surrounded by beautiful people. And I can't even express the appreciation I have to be able to stand here and share with you my passion and the appreciation and gratitude I have for Anthony for putting this together, and the respect and appreciation I have for you guys for attending, for coming together. It's just an honor. It's a blessing. I'm very flattered to be here. The title of this speech, it's going to kind of seem like it's all over the place. The title of this speech is Seduction is a Gift. And I'm going to talk a lot about seduction. I'm going to talk a lot about escalation. I'm going to talk a lot about how seduction differs from the process of pickup. And I'm going to talk about exactly how each of these things are gifts and how we share these gifts. But another word that resonates with me, another word that's come into my life recently that you never associate with the pickup community or the seduction community or any of the stuff that we do in the social realm, the sexual realm, or the seductive realm, is the word ordination. Ordination, like to be ordained. It's a weird word because we associate this with like clergy, with like religion. But if you look at like the classic symbolic historic root of this word, it really means to be respected, to be appreciated, to be recognized for gift. And each of us, we have these qualities, we have these characteristics, we have aspects of our personality that we should be recognized for, that we deserve attention for. You know, maybe you're known for being a hard worker or having a sense of humor, always making someone laugh, having wisdom, having insight, always being optimistic, always being loyal or someone you can count on. And for me, like this has been a deep kind of realization within just the past couple months that like this is my calling. This is like my path, my pursuit, my passion, my purpose is to teach seduction, to teach surrender, teach aspects of sexuality, to share that directly with women, and to give men the skills and teach them these processes so that they can share this with women too as a gift. So that's my whole thing with ordination, is like I feel this as a calling. And I've always kept this underground. Like I didn't really want to do an intro with like background and stuff. But there's like Neil's book, it's like The Underground Secret Society, which was so mainstream, it's ridiculous. But there's like the true subterranean stuff. Like for me, I've been doing this a decade, even the teaching aspect of it. And it's always been word of mouth, I don't have a product, I don't have a mailing list. I have a blog, and it's gonSavage.com. Also, while I'm in town, I've got a European phone, and I think I've been told that if you're dialing from Sweden, you don't put this, but you do have to put the 0 by the 7. But if you're dialing internationally, you put this, but leave out that 0. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to be here at least a month, maybe longer. And then after that, I'm traveling through other parts of Europe. And me and Jonathan, we're putting together this idea, Seduction Without Borders, Lovers Without Borders. And we're taking this idea of seduction being a gift, kind of like the greatest gift in the world, right? We're taking this internationally. So yeah, I just want to talk for a minute about why seduction is a gift, how it's a gift, and then we're going to get into the process of. Well, I want to do like a quick meditation, like an exercise with you guys as well. And I got some slides for you, and then these two concepts that are really unique to me and kind of like the core essence of what I present. They're two different speeches that I put together like for the first time. One is going to be the introduction of the Savage Triangle, and the other is what I call the Seduction Trump Cards. So it's going to take you through the theory, more into practice, and hopefully we're all going to arrive at the same conclusion. But man, I was just making a list of like my favorite concepts and the different ways seduction is a gift, the different way we share gifts with each other. And if you think about it, like a good working definition of seduction, and a little bit later I'm really going to contrast this with pickup, but it's kind of like the process of making a moment more intense. It's kind of like enticing someone into doing what they secretly want to do already. It's lowering defenses, it's awakening the senses, it's igniting her body, it's allowing her to surrender into herself, to surrender into her femininity, to surrender to masculinity. It's a process of awakening, enlivening, enhancing, and enriching a person's life. And it's a gift. I just kind of made this list. Like the gift I give, like my intention, my promise is to give adventure and excitement, passion, romance through intensity, intrigue, intimacy, humility, humor, my presence, my perspective. All these things are unique gifts. Authenticity, generosity, giving, sharing, being selfless, non-judgmental acceptance, appreciation, attention, affection, passion, lust, arousal, surprise, as well as anticipation, fascination, being bold, being direct, being thrilling. At last, something exciting is coming to her life. At last, a brush with danger, passion, and romance. But it goes further. It's everything, having audacity, having enthusiasm, being a lover of women, being a lover of sex, being a lover of the process of seduction, providing release, relief, relaxation, abandon, surrender, foreplay, suspense, tension, satisfaction. So I see myself, I'm kind of in the business of making fantasies come true. And it's kind of it's an enlightened self-interest. It's kind of a refined selfishness. But seduction is pure pleasure. And it's the pleasure that you're giving as a gift, and it's the pleasure you're receiving having given that gift. And a quick distinction that I always make, when you give someone a gift, it should never diminish the intention. Let me put it this way. When you give someone a gift and they refuse to accept it, you should not feel rejected. It should diminish your intention for having wanted to give that. So it's the idea of giving selflessly, giving with no expectation of return. And if you have the expectation of return, it's not really a gift. It's a bribe. And, Zebra shared a story about, what's it called? Spy Bar. I was there last night. And I had a story that completely relates to this. I'll tell it real quick. I met these two girls on the street, and we're really vibing and connecting, and they wanted to get me into Spy Bar. and they had a connection there, and they did, and this is like the real trendy place around town. And so you get in, like you're selected to get in. There's all this gatekeeping, like, okay, you're in. But then you still have to pay a cover. And one of the two girls was like, so I'm getting you? She kind of said, like a little bit smartass. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I appreciate it. Thank you. Right? So she paid for me to get in. And then we go upstairs, and they're like talking to some friends or something. So I start talking to these other girls. And like we're really getting along, me and this new girl. And the original girl from one of the two that paid to get me in comes up, and she's like, she takes the other girl and starts speaking in Swedish. And like the other girl exits because she said something about me that was really fierce or whatever. But then she's like looking at me, and she's like, you owe me 100 crown, right? You owe me 100 crown. She's being forceful. She like pushed me a little bit. I'm trying to be all sweet and like, no, that's a gift. That was awesome. I truly appreciate it. And she's like, no, you owe me 100 crowns. Look, buy me 2 drinks. Buy me 2 drinks. And I told her the same thing. I'm like, look, there was no expectation in that moment. I'm like, if you're expecting something in return, that wasn't a gift. That was a bribe. And she kind of loosened up, like fell more into her femininity. But that's just kind of an example. Rah!
Yeah, did you sleep with any of them?
Right. So there's this other idea, right? I want to do this meditation, and it's just a quick exercise. Like, if you guys would just follow along, like, make sure your feet are kind of planted on the ground. You're relaxed into your chair. Go ahead and close your eyes and relax. And imagine like what you perceive to be your biggest sticking point concerning game and meeting women. And go even deeper. Allow yourself to remember a time where this sticking point or this limiting belief manifested in field, in real life. So just take a moment and allow yourself to connect with that experience. See if you can pull back some of the feeling, some of the emotion. Perhaps there was a particularly intense sense of rejection, or maybe it was just hesitation, humiliation, some kind of frustration, anger, worry, doubt. Feel into that experience. Kind of remember what it was like, how you felt, what she said, where you felt it in your body. Just get deeper and deeper into that memory and into those sensations. Allow them to build and increase and intensify. And having retained and recaptured the memory of this experience, what I want us to do, I want us all to just laugh at it. Like, we're going to start out with just a little laugh, like just recognizing how petty that situation was, how infinitesimal, right? How minuscule, how minute. And just laugh. Allow yourself to laugh out loud. Physiologically, laughing does so much for you, so much for your health, your well-being, your state of mind. Just continue laughing. Laugh out loud. And it doesn't matter. That's the thing with laughter. It doesn't matter if it's genuine. It doesn't matter if it's in the moment. It doesn't matter if it's contrived. It's just like, feel into this with me. Let's get like a really uproar of laughter here. It was just so petty, and it was so long ago, and it was just ridiculous. And look where we are now. So with your eyes closed and just retaining that memory, just laugh one more time really loud. And then you can look at this screen and keep laughing. Welcome to Sweden. This is the Swedish pussy massage. Welcome to Sweden. I'm going to tell you what I know of Sweden. Swedish massage, Swedish meatballs, the Swedish chef smoking an invisible blunt. Of course, ABBA. And beautiful, beautiful Swedish women. A smorgasbord of sexy. This is how we say it in Sweden, no? Awesome. I did a little bit of internet research. And a smorgasbord, a Swedish meal of multiple dishes served buffet style. I just want to know who let the brunette in there. And you guys probably already know this. In Sweden, there is no sodomy laws, and the age of consent is 15. I don't know if that should excite you or not, but it's fact. So like I said, there's two main parts to this presentation. There's some fractionation involved, where I'm going to go really deep, pretty intense, and then there's other moments of humor, where I'm like pulling you up in and out, peaks and valleys. But this is the first of the two main portions, right? This is what I'm calling the savage triangle. And there's so much to be derived from this simple image. But this represents it's like an amalgamation of all the aspects of the community that have been thrown together. So we study social aspects, the sexual aspects, and the seductive aspects. These are all different realms. They're all different processes. The social essentially is saying, I want to get to know you. I want to meet you. I want to date you. I want to see what you're like. The sexual is saying, I want to fuck you. I want to make love to you. I want our energies to combine. The seductive is what I focus on. This is what I teach. And I think this is what is missing in society. And women want to be seduced. Women are complicit in their own seduction. Anthony was talking about you find people that are complicit in helping you. Similarly, women are complicit in their own seduction. Everyone wants to be seduced. Everyone wants to be taken through that process where reality becomes intensified. The rest of the environment, the rest of society just seems to melt away and disappear. And all you're aware of is this presence in front of you, this intensity, this warmth, this energy. And seduction is a process. And we're going to talk a lot about that. But to explore this a little more, we add color, so you realize that it's all a gradient. There's different degrees between the sexual and the social, the seductive and the sexual, as well as the social and the seductive. And if you're not taking notes, this would be a good time to start. There's a couple of things I'm going to point out that aren't actually on the slide. The process of going from the social to the sexual, if you can imagine just an arrow going from the green to the red, this is pickup. Pickup is concerned with, more than anything, creating a sense of value, creating a sense of status. Pickup is obsessed with status and value. What happens when you trade the social for the sexual? You get a sense of obligation. You're trading your social value for her sexual value. A degree away from that sense of obligation is coercion, manipulation, deception. It's really easy to fall into these kind of things, right? These things that really hopefully don't resonate with us. They don't serve us in the best way when we study those kind of tactics. I'm going to talk more about what all those tactics are, right? The process of going from the seductive to the sexual, this is the process of seduction. And it's everything that I've been talking about, giving the gifts of your presence, your integrity, your intensity, passion, romance, excitement, adventure, awakening your senses, igniting her body, allowing that surrender. So it's not based on obligation and coercion, it's based on lust and arousal. There's a lot of different degrees that I can put upon this. But real quick, the process of going from the social to the seductive, we call this flirtation. Flirtation it's a dynamic all of its own. It's often a means. I don't want to say a means to an end, but it's its own process. Flirtation is the social to seductive. Basically, it's seduction without the sexual element. It's making people feel good. It's an end in itself. Having fun, making people feel good. There's no sense of a sexual outcome. It's just being charming, being charismatic, making people feel good. It's a gift in and of itself. One thing I always like to say about the savage triangle, this diagram, is begin where you are. A lot of what I'm going to talk about in a minute is how the seduction trumps the pickup, how being seductive trumps being merely social. The community, as is focused over here. In one of my models, I've actually named each of these triangles. So the social corner is basically the AFC, the average frustrated chump that can't get out of the friend zone, right? One triangle away is the pickup artist. One triangle above that is the player, just because he's a little more forward with his sexual intent, his sexual desire. On the other side, with seduction, these are the romance artist, the sensualist, the sex god. So you're going up this way. So we kind of got the flirt or the charmer in the middle. So start where you are. That means look, a lot of guys have social skills together. You don't need to be an approach machine. You don't need to do 1,000 approaches and do all this crazy peacocking and ridiculous ways of getting attention. You got your basic social skills. Start with that and flirt. And then you reach that hook point, flirtation, isolation, seduction. Then you're going up the other side toward a sexual event, toward a sexual connection. But there's tons of things I like to lay on this. This path is one of taking value. This path is one of giving value. The pickup artist, the process of pickup begins with a sense of lack, a sense of scarcity. What can I get from her? What can I get from this situation? How can I get her to like me? How can I get her to fuck me? How can I get her to go out with me? How can I get her phone number? This is a process of giving. You're giving the gifts, all the things that I've been talking about. It's a sense of abundance. You're filled with so much love, compassion, concern, care. You want to give this. You give it freely.
What is the social to seductive?
That's flirtation. That's what we're going to talk about the least. But be aware that that is the path of flirtation. It's essentially seduction without the sexual element. And if you I'm not knocking being social, and I'm going to talk about this more too. It's necessary. The center is the sweet spot. Bing. So I gray out these areas. This is not what I teach. This is not my focus. I'm not a pickup artist. But I consider the center to be the sweet spot. It's up for debate, whatever. But it's balanced. You have a varied and dynamic social life. You have no trouble making friends. You have no trouble flirting. You also have a varied and dynamic sex life. You have the kind of sexual experiences that you want to have. And at the same time, you understand the process of seduction. Starting at A and going to B or Z or whatever. Taking her through these stages of captivation and intrigue and arousal. Being able to turn a woman on. Not just saying, I want to get to know you, I want to hang out. And it's not being that caveman guy. The epitome of sexual is the caveman. He just wants to fuck. He just wants to manhandle. No finesse. No sense of romance. No sensuality. So we talked about obligation and manipulation and coercion versus compassion, empathy, and sharing. Another aspect of the whole taking versus giving is this is the path of impressing. This is the path of expressing. Are you expressing an energy and an innate desire that you have? You have this abundance of masculinity. You have an abundance of passion, and you want to share this. Or are you trying to impress someone? What do I have to do to get her to like me so that I can take something from her, so I can gain something? This path is all about self-gain. We talked about this being the path of arousal and lust, this being the path of desire and obligation. This is also the reactive path. You're reacting, you're taking, you're impressing. This is the proactive path. You're giving, you're sharing. Pressure versus pleasure. High pressure kind of tactics, high pressure environments usually. This is all about pleasure. One of the first things I said, seduction is all about pure pleasure. Learning the process of creating that moment, intensifying that moment, and delivering pleasure and intensity. So, similarly, this is coldness, this is warmth. Rutgers University did a study. They looked at promiscuous men. They found 3 traits in common with this group that they studied. Across the board, number 1 that everyone shared was dominance. Dominance can kind of be seen as the peak of the sexual interaction. You're polarizing the masculine and feminine. You're expressing raw masculine desire and directive. Dominating, right? Here's the other 2 traits. They were polarizing themselves. So number 1 across the board was dominance. Then number 2 and 3 were either being cold and manipulative or being very warm and very empathetic, very compassionate. Again, either one of these will lead to sex. But it's a decision you have to make. It's a choice you have to make for yourself. Which way do you want to get there? The path of coercion and manipulation and coldness, distance, detachment, or being able to give a gift and share warmth and affinity, connection. A couple more things on this. We talked about scarcity and neediness versus abundance. Here's another one. Ego versus the soul. This is about as new age as I get. But the ego always wants to do what looks good. It's about impressing. It's about being seen, being noticed. The body wants to do what feels good. Again, that's the sexual peak. The soul wants to do what is good, what's best for everyone involved. It's not about taking. It's not about self-gain. Ego versus the soul. Then we have force versus power. to be able to resonate and have the presence of a dominant man who knows what he wants in life. He doesn't make apologies, but he's also very compassionate, very warm, very friendly, open and outgoing. And most of all, he knows the process of seduction. And I don't know who clued me into this earlier, one of the speeches, but this is the last one I put on here. There's the mirage versus the oasis. I like that. So a lot of times you think you're getting somewhere on this path. And a lot of times we have to go through this path before we realize the alternative. Well, there is one more. It's the big one. This is the path of self-confidence. This is the path of self-esteem. Like I said, both get results. Both can get what appears on the surface level to be dynamic and varied sex life. A lot of sexual opportunity, a lot of sexual experience. The pickup route is all about self-confidence. This is another triangle. You find the community because you have low self-confidence, typically, as well as low self-esteem. But you have high interest. This is something you desire, often desperately. Then you have that choice. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? So a lot of times we find, we find these products, we find these articles online, and it's like promising you the magic bullet and the quick fix and instant results. And it's all here, right? Even if it works once in a while, right? You're compromising oftentimes your honesty, your authenticity, your integrity. You're doing these kind of, you feel weird. I don't know. I hope you feel a little shady and you feel a little like, I don't know, is this right? Should I be telling this story? Am I lying? And it's not enhancing your self-esteem. Think about the difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. Self-confidence it's belief in your ability. Confidence is belief in your ability. I don't talk about confidence. I really don't believe confidence is like the necessary ingredient. So mainstream dating advice always says you got to be confident. And then all the pickup stuff, all the community says you got to have confidence. Confidence is key, right? Confidence is belief in your own ability. If you don't have the ability, you still want to take action. You still want to pursue a better life. So it takes courage. Courage trumps confidence. Confidence is belief in your own ability. Courage is acting despite having no belief in your ability. Confidence says, fake it till you make it. Courage says, act anyway. Action. Take action. And that's what builds self-esteem. Other direct reflections of self-esteem is health. For sure. We've seen how many guys go on this path of instant result. I got to get this shit mastered. Pickup stuff. They drop out of school. They neglect their health. They go out every fucking night being approach machines, and they hit this weird plateau where it's like, I'm not happy. I don't feel good about my life. Self-esteem has to do with self-respect, self-worth. Do you value yourself? Do you value your time? Do you value where you put your attention? Do you love yourself? You can certainly hate yourself and be highly confident. You can do despicable things and be highly confident and competent. Think of, like a career criminal or something. High confidence, low self-esteem. So that's the other dynamic I put onto this. Is choose this path, right? I don't know, it's up to you. So it all comes down to choice, right? So ultimately, to me, pickup, it's like a bribe. It's like all this weird, shifty, shady stuff. Trying to trade your value or perceived value or phony baloney value and status for sexual access. Remember we talked about if pickup is a bribe, seduction is a gift. There is one more. I have so many things in here. Remember cocky funny? Right? It was a great like community innovation, right? Be cocky funny. It's straight up here. What is over here is courage and humility. And Vince said this too. Humility is sexy. There's a lot of convergence taking place in this room right now and through the rest of the weekend. A lot of guys that have never met, never been in field together, never read each other's material, are coming to the same conclusions and having the same sense of awakening, sense of awareness. You want to be cocky, funny, and fake it till you make it? Or you want to act anyway and develop courage, display humility? You know? And going in field, like doing the approach, man. The less confident you feel, remember confidence is over here, the more humility you need to display. You know? I'm nervous standing up here, right? But I'm doing it anyway, because this is my path, this is my passion. This is something I feel I need to share. I feel ordained to share this material. So you go up to a girl and it's like, you know, I'm kind of nervous even approaching you. I don't really know what I'm going to say. But I noticed you, and I had to come say hi. Or what was Vince's line? I wrote it down. It's just that. It's just that. You're so sexy. I had to come over and meet you. It's humility. It's being humble. Man, I'm kind of nervous. I can't believe I'm even doing this, but it's just that. I noticed your dress, and I'm real curious about it. Where'd you get it, right? So there you go. Courage, humility. I think, once again, I kind of already said this, but these are the extremes. They all have a shadow. In the naming system that I was coming up with, pure seduction is the pimp. And a lot of guys are like, oh, I'm such a fucking pimp, right? That's, I don't know, I think it's a disgusting and like despicable kind of thing to call yourself. But a true pimp that coerces women, coercion's over here, but I still think it's the right word. But to procure women, use them to like, for financial, pimps don't give a fuck about sex. They don't care. They use sex and they use their seductive ability to control women. So that's the dark side down here. The dark side, I already said, of the sexual is like the caveman. The guy has no social calibration, no seductive calibration. He just takes. He takes, forcefully. One thing to always keep in mind is like seduction was created by women. In the old days, it was all about force. It was all about creating that sense of obligation and dominance by sheer brute force. Women got wise to power by using their charm, their feminine wiles, right? To kind of intrigue and captivate and capture the men, right? So I don't know, like that's something to always keep in mind. Like we're practicing an art that was created by women like Cleopatra and Helen of Troy, like all these historic names, right? So what I'm saying is put your attention here. From the sweet spot and kind of a circle right here. So this is kind of to give you a theoretic background of the trump cards that I'm going to go into. Any questions about the triangle?
I have one.
Yeah.
How does the concept of arousal fit into your triangle?
That's going to be one of the 5 trump cards.
Okay,
So I'm going to answer it thoroughly in a minute.
great.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, one question is, I'm not a native English speaker, so what do you mean by ordain?
Ordain, like I was saying, is just a sense of being selected, being chosen
Yeah,
to share your gift.
share your gift.
It to me, like, it feels like a sacred thing to finally realize, like, I wanted to be like this anonymous player, right? Or playboy. I always make distinctions.
Yeah,
So I love sex, I love women, I love femininity, I love creating that connection. I love the process of seduction. But I didn't want like recognition for it. I was like, my
Right.
purpose has to be higher, it has to be bigger and better, right?
hmm
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been doing this for so long. I've been creating so many experiences and also teaching so many guys.
hmm
As a seduction purist, I'm not an information marketer. I don't have products. I don't have this stuff, right? I don't have this egoic stuff to like attach to myself.
hmm
So my realization that I've been ordained in a sacred sense, like, no, dude, you got to get out there and you got to share this. That's all I mean.
And
Like, and I believe each and every one of us have that kind of gift. We have that kind of characteristic or unique trait that we deserve recognition for. And if you heighten your awareness and zone into what it is, absolutely what it is that makes you unique, what your talent and skill is, a community will find you. I didn't seek out the community. This community found me. So a community, a source, a group of people that's ripe and ready to recognize you for your gifts. When you recognize that, that's ordination.
okay, get it.
Great question.
And another question is, well, you're talking about humility and courage, and you kind of metaphorically replaced it for CNF. Maybe not totally your intention, but question is, I have the feeling I'm getting humility in the wrong way. So how would you define humility? How do you display it, or like what goes inside of you? When you
Being humble,
yeah.
not taking yourself seriously, even learning the process, not taking it seriously. To always be sincere without being serious.
Okay, so
To be
humility-
warm and generous and honest and authentic, but not to be heavy.
Okay.
Not to be like, seduction is the most serious fucking shit in the world. You better pay attention, right?
So humility is being playful while being like.
Yeah. Like playfulness, optimism,
Okay.
open-mindedness, and at the same time to be like relaxed in yourself. Like, look, I just had to come talk to you. If you're not vibing with me, if you don't accept my gift, it doesn't diminish my intention for wanting to give it to you.
Okay.
If you offer someone a gift and they refuse to accept it, your intention remains intact. The desire you had to give it does not change. And then the aspect of humility is like to say, like, you know, I don't take this seriously, and I'm kind of nervous. You know?
Hmm.
That's sexy. Humility is totally sexy.
Okay. Cool.
And I'm not saying that as a technique, right? That would be over here. It's like to find your sense of humbleness. Here's a great exercise. I hope this isn't going to throw me like off on time too much. Get $21 bills or whatever your equivalent would be here. Go to an intersection. I notice there's not really panhandlers here, but they're all over the place in the US. But try this here. Fucking try this to build a sense of humility. And give them out. Give them out to passerbys. It's like $21 bills. It's one of the greatest ways you'll ever spend $20. In America, it's so hard to get someone to take them. No. Because they don't know your intention. They don't know what is this all about. Hold a sign that says, I have to give. I have to give. This is like an esteem building exercise too. Here, take $1, please. What? Try it.
Yeah. No. That's cool.
It's not seduction related, but give it a try, you know?
Okay.
Right.
Can I add one exercise to that?
Yes.
When you have Eastern in Europe, you can also give out chocolate, little chocolate eggs in the club.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more hardcore because most of them think there's drugs in it. So, but
So they
it's
think
fun
there's
to-
like an ulterior motive. And give out the
yeah,
look.
but
This
I
is
just did
this
it
is
for
one of the
fun.
things I've been making a list of things I notice here. That every shop, like 7-Eleven or whatever, has this huge array of candy, and they're not individually wrapped. There's no like protective cover or whatever. This stuff would never fly in America. People would think that it's like not necessarily poison, but it's like contaminated. Like people put their grimy hands in it or whatever. But it persists. It's fucking popular. I've seen it everywhere. And like tons of candy, dude. You guys must love sweets. Thank you. Thank you. All right, fun stuff. Seduction, enticing others into doing what they really want to do already. Women are complicit in their own seduction. Women want to be seduced. Women desire seduction. Most virtue is a demand for more seduction. Most resistance is a demand for more tension. We want that sexual tension. Guys kill sexual tension by breaking rapport, by being cocky, funny, by teasing, all these things that you're taught to do in this path of the triangle, right? Maintaining that sexual tension. Most things we perceive as resistance is a demand or a request for more tension. Most LMR is a demand for more foreplay. It's a demand to just slow it down. Give her that experience. Give it to her with patience. Escalation, the step-by-step process of making a moment more intense. I'm going to talk more about escalation. It's one of the trump cards. Screening, systematic testing to select those with desired characteristics. Delayed laugh. And another great reminder is that women are the greatest seduction teachers in the world. I mean, that path over here, right? That's another thing I didn't point out. It's like a guru worship. You deify it, some guru or some instructor, right? Some information marketer. This other path, you recognize that anything you want to know about seduction, you can learn from women. Take what I say. It's a great idea. Take it in field. Find out if it's true for you. That was one of your points, right? You got to put this in field. You got to find out for yourself. You got to take the action. You got to make the decision. Intimacy is what it's all about. Seduction is not a popularity contest. That was this part of the triangle. Pickup is a popularity contest. It's about getting noticed. Intimacy and seduction, I would be insulted, I think, if I was voted some kind of like greatest pickup artist in the world. I don't identify with that. I don't resonate with that at all. You know, I used to call myself like the roaming rogue and the roadside Romeo. I went on this road trip for like 4 years. I've been to every state except Hawaii. Just teaching and meeting women and like having these experiences and living in the moment, living in the world, hiking national parks, doing all this really cool stuff. So it's the roadside Romeo, the roaming rogue, the freelance flirt, the foreplay gourmet. You know? There's probably some ego to this. But it was about women. It was about intimacy. It wasn't about being recognized by some community and some anonymous group of people like reading stuff on forums. So it's weird, this sensation of guys that they want to go out and they want to meet women and they want to get good at this, whatever that really means, so they can kind of impress their friends. And so instead of like connecting with her deeply in the moment, they just can't wait to get home to write the lay report. That's all this path that was over here. Women, the greatest seduction teachers in the world. Intimacy. Seduction is not a popularity contest. All right. Part 2. The seduction trump cards. We got the king and the 4 queens. All right. Just throw out any question you guys have.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you said that most resistance is a demand for more tension.
Mhm.
I guess I wonder how would you define that tension?
My current model, like my belief, is that tension is always there. It's naturally present between most women and most men. The problem is, because of our conditioning, because of our upbringing, because of what the dominant society puts on us, we don't recognize it, we don't acknowledge it. So the idea is that you're just allowing it to be more present. So you can build it and enhance it and intensify it. This is going to be one of the trump cards, is how you primarily non-verbally make the tension thicker, right? Pickup is about exposure, it's about opportunity. It's the social aspect, remember. It's the numbers game. So there's this debate, right? I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's like this debate. Is it just a numbers game? Or is it a skill set? It's both. It's totally fucking both. It's particles and wave. The numbers game aspect is the pickup aspect. It's the social aspect. It's the aspect of getting out there, getting off your ass, increasing your opportunities, putting yourself out there, going up and saying hi. Exposure, opportunity, approaching. Then what you want to do, like, approaching is a natural screening process. What happens is you weed out the ones with no interest, and you find the ones with a little bit of interest so you can apply the skill set of seduction to make them very, very interesting. Part of that skill set is effectively, however you want to focus on it, building tension or recognizing naturally present tension. We'll talk more about that. Because that's actually the first trump card, is how being seduced trumps being social. So how those 3 triangles or 5 triangles on this side that I left colored trump the ones that I put in black and white. So like I was saying, being social is prospecting. It's lead generation. It's that idea of going out there, increasing your chance. The only way to like play the game is to start it. That's the social. I'm not knocking being social at all. We're social creatures. We're also sexual animals. The path over here is valid. So it's, but what I want to hammer home is being social is not what gets you laid. It's not what gets you a girlfriend. It's not what gets you the kind of sex life that you probably want, that you desire, that you deserve. Being social in and of itself is not what contributes to these things, and that's one of the big misdirections of the community. And a lot of the community focuses on social dynamics, having social proof, having an entourage, crazy kind of peacocking to get yourself noticed. Getting noticed is not getting arousal. You know what I mean? Getting attention is not getting arousal. That's how I like to say it. Being entertaining is not escalating. It's all social. You're stuck in that corner of the triangle. And I'm saying, that's a great place to start because you flirt. And there's that hook point. And it's usually has something to do with isolation. The rest of the social environment disappears. It's you and her. This is what seduction is about. It's you and her. It's one-on-one. The rest of the environment disappears. The rest of society has no bearing on what's taking place. So you flirt. You flirt when it's social. You flirt when it's necessary to, there's her group. It's like group theory and all this, right? And then you got her alone, right? And the best context for getting the girl alone is to take a number and then call her up and be like, why don't we get some coffee or something? Part of this whole pickup thing is epitomizing same glaze and Fetishizing quickness, speed. Oh, fuck, you know, like we didn't hook up until the third date, and that means I'm not good at game or some bullshit. Oh, that's beautiful. That's natural. That's natural human sexuality. That's awesome. Share that moment. Like here's another thing. I don't play to win. That's all over here, playing to win.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes. The contrast to that, real quick though, is playing to continue the play. Playing for the sake of play itself. Yes.
Like, if I understand you correctly, you say stay in the middle of the triangle or try to get in the middle of the triangle, and
That is
Or
a
around the
great
middle?
place to be. That's where you're going to have the most balance, the most. Here's another way the community is coming together. A lot of us are talking more about like holistic living, wholeness versus neediness. So you have that balance. You have those three domains of your life evened out, right? It's a great place to be. But also what I'm saying is most guys don't know their edge. They have no idea. They think they're pushing the edge, the envelope, the boundary. They're not even coming close. So I'm saying put your time and attention a little bit further to this side. The maximum point of concentrated focus is over here. To find your edge, you got to go beyond it. And a lot of guys, like they've done this social thing until they're like pulling their hair out. That's what happened to me, right? And they really haven't experimented with seduction. Maybe there's some timidity or hesitation, but often it's just like they don't know. They've been misdirected. The community, it's like, no, do 1,000 approaches and you'll get good eventually. Right? So I talked about creating the one-on-one connection. I talked about pickup being the numbers game, seduction being the skill set. Another aspect of this is what I like to say is like be social on your own terms. Don't think you have to go out every fucking night. Don't think you have to do bars and clubs at all. Find what resonates with you. Find what naturally fits with your energy, your worldview, your mindset. Like, I'm not really that social. But I'm very, very seductive. And consequently very sexual. I have a high sex drive. I love women. I love sex. I love the whole process. Similarly, I'm an introvert. A lot of guys, they find the community and they're like, they're introverted, for sure. How do I become an extrovert? How do I force myself to change all these things, right? It's like, be social on your own terms. Being introverted doesn't necessarily mean shy either. You can have periods of going out and being hyper-social, but being an introvert means you got to recharge in solitude. And Anthony was talking about this. He's an introvert for sure. You need those moments alone. You need that isolation. So if you're doing the hyper-social shit for a few days, it's going to tire you out big time. And you're going to need to recharge alone in solitude and isolation. An extrovert, like Vince, it's actually going to wear him down to be in isolation, to be in solitude for a long time. And he'll start to crave those periods of being hypersocial. He's a very social guy who's actually on the seduction path. I'd say he's a guy that pretty much has the sweet spot nailed down. I'm realizing this in many ways, the introverted version of him, since we are arriving, at a lot of the same conclusions. All right, so we talked about the debate, skill set, numbers game. And that's basically what I teach, man. Do the social aspect on your own term. Get yourself out there. Exposure, opportunity, approaching. And then learn the skill set of seduction, which is what I teach, and I'm going to drill deeper into this. To take the girls with a little bit of interest, and make them very interested. It's a process. It's a step-by-step process. So the trump card number 2 is that the nonverbal trumps the verbal. By the way, there's 5 of these. This is the second one. Most conventional dating advice, as well as most community advice, focuses on words. Focuses on verbal communication. So it's not just on being social, but it's about verbal communication, what we're saying to each other. Pick-up lines, words, patterns, remember old school. Words, routines are words. Stories, words, cocky funny, breaking rapport, banter, teasing. These are all verbal techniques. When a guy first finds the community, he always wants to know, what do I say? What do I say to girls to get them to like me? That's this path. They want to build confidence. You know? But a lot of this, the whole wholesome aspect of this and the inner game aspect is like, how do I build esteem? So words, man, like everything, we're surrounded by words. Movies, TV shows, billboards, romantic comedies, situational comedies. It's just dialogue. We're so obsessed with words by the media, and we spend all day like texting and emailing. So what I'm here to tell you, right, and this should resonate with a lot of you, is you don't have to be witty, you don't have to be charming and funny, just like you don't have to be that social. You don't have to be so focused. You don't have to have the perfect story that like teaches a lesson or has this like, I don't know, dynamic revelation about how popular you are, right? Nonverbal seduction, like I teach the 4 most important aspects of nonverbal seduction. And I'm going to go over those at the end if we have time. There's a big difference between being verbally direct and verbally explicit even versus being physically direct. And the aspects, they all relate to the senses. And one of them is cutting space, being able to get close, proximity. And I'll talk about all of them in a minute. So let's move to the third seduction trump card. Let's consider that men and women have 2 distinct desires. One is the desire for sex, and one is the desire for affection. Affection relates to many things, including praise, approval, appreciation, attention, validation, recognition, liking, things like sharing time together, sharing activities together, words of affirmation, sharing, doing stuff together. Pet names, pillow talk, cuddling. This is all affection. And then there's sex. So I'm talking about sex as an innate biological urge. It's not so much the need for tender caresses and affection. It's that primal, instinctual, very powerful urge that you feel. So I'm talking about the feeling that you just want to take her. You just want to recognize your masculine dominance and take her. It's about sucking and fucking and blowjobs and facials and like penetration and hard pounding and quickies and all this raw stuff. This is the contrast I'm creating, the polarity between sex and affection, because we're going to get into examples. So say you're feeling social. You're out and about, you meet this girl, you have a great conversation. Again, social, verbal. You're feeling this connection. And you start to imagine her as your girlfriend. You start to imagine going on dates. You start future projecting all this like cool stuff you'll do together, right? And what's really happening is like your sense of lack, your sense of scarcity, your neediness, your need for feminine energy, it's kind of sucking the feminine energy from her. You're just basking in it. Oh man, I hope I don't fuck this up. I hope I don't lose her. I hope we can have all these experiences. I bet she'd make a really great girlfriend. These thoughts, these desires, and we've all had them, right? They're hijacking the seduction that could be taking place. Because if there's one thing that you get out of this that you should write down, right, is that you got to go after the sex before you go after the affection. Almost all schools of game, remember the ones over here that are obsessed with taking and impressing, status and value, have it backwards. Because it's an ego stroke. Remember the ego versus the soul. How can I get her to recognize me and appreciate me and give me that sense of acceptance that I don't have for myself? So you get the sex before you get the affection. And it doesn't matter, like maybe you don't want to be, like hopefully you don't want to be a pickup artist or a player, but maybe you don't want to be this like crazy romance artist. And you don't want to be Vince with all this energy, right? But, you know, maybe endless sexual variety and novelty like isn't your thing. That's cool. You just want like this cool girlfriend, this chill chick that you get to have all the affection with. Still saying the pursuit of sex, the recognition, I should say, of the innate natural sexual urge, capitalizing on that tension, right? Escalating, bringing it to fruition, right? Because so many guys, like, they have this front, right? It's the pickup artist front, right? They're going to do all these things. They come across as all confident. And she gets this sense, well, first of all, like attracts like. And game recognizes game. So you're on that path. You're meeting people with the same resonance of energy. But, you know, sometimes you see this. Like, the guys will let the girl down. It's a huge insult to her sexuality, to her femininity, when the guy doesn't actually pull through. Because more often than not, he's caught up in this mind fuck of, like, seeking affection before sex, right? So if your goal is to be more social, this is actually for mystery. If your goal is to be more social, talkative is the number one state to be in. That's what he said. Except he says it like this. The number one state to be in is talkative, because he's on this path. If your goal is to be more social, talkative is the number one state to be in. If your goal is to be more seductive, horny is the number one state to be in. Like, part of this whole process is recognizing your own sexuality, being comfortable with it. Self-esteem, remember? Loving yourself, valuing yourself, loving your body, loving your cock. Understanding that sex is a beautiful thing. You don't have sexual hang-ups. You don't have a Madonna whore complex. You don't have vagina envy. You don't have misogyny. You have a healthy self-respect. You have a healthy regard for sex. It's a beautiful, natural, incredible thing. So whether you're into monogamy, polygamy, or good old-fashioned promiscuity, you got to realize that the need for sex comes first. Sex comes first. So how are we going to get there? That brings us to the fourth trump card. And this is what your question was about. Arousal trumps desire. Desire and arousal are two very different things. Desire is of the mind. It's mental. Arousal is of the body. It's physical. It's physiological. It's both biological and chemical. Sexual arousal means that her body is stimulated. Her juices are flowing. It doesn't mean that you're gonna fuck, but it means she's in a heightened state of arousal and awareness. And physically and physiologically, she's ready to fuck. So arousal trumps desire because it is primal. It's immediate. It's natural. It's automatic. The instinctual urge of arousal is very powerful. And the way I see it is like this. There's actually studies that show this as well. A lot of times women are engaged in intercourse before they even realize that they have desire for the person they're with. The mental sensation that that's where they want to be and that they like him, right? Another thing I always say is like stop wondering if girls like you, right? It's over here. Start determining if they turn you on and start learning how to turn them on. That was over here. This all relates back to my triangle. So, arousal and desire, right? Men, like, we're almost always in a desirous state. We're checking out women. We're evaluating them. We get this whole, like, stupid 1 to 10 scale and all this stuff, right? Or maybe we just have the, like, I do or I wouldn't do her scale, right? It doesn't, and just acknowledging that doesn't mean we're going to approach. It doesn't mean we're going to escalate. It doesn't mean we're going to make those decisions. But we have that quick snap decision, right? That's our desire. I said arousal trumps desire. So by you being a man who has that desire, who also takes action, has the courage, takes action, makes the approach, escalates, puts these skill set processes of seduction, gets them flowing, creates arousal, mostly through nonverbal tactics, nonverbal presence, eye contact, vocal tonality, body language, cutting space, proximity, all this stuff, right? You're turning her on. So it looks like this. Your desire paired with action leads to her arousal. Her arousal, once you know she's turned on, leads to your arousal. You're turned on, you're hard. And then part of this is like her recognition that you're turned on will lead to her desire. So it's your desire, her arousal, your arousal, her desire. You're good to go. It's go time. Any questions about that? I feel like I went through that one kind of quick. And it ties into the last trump card. Escalation trumps everything else. So first of all, sexual attraction, I believe, is the highest compliment you can give another person. Just like I think seduction is one of the greatest gifts you can give another person. But sexual attraction being the highest compliment, I mean, think of this. Everyone is flattered to find out if someone else finds them attractive. It's always flattering. Whether it's reciprocal or not, it's flattering. But it gets even better because, like I was saying, often it is reciprocal. You letting someone know that they turn you on will often turn them on. Finding out from someone that you turn them on will turn you on. It's a beautiful loop. It's a beautiful feedback loop that goes like this: desire, arousal, arousal, desire. Action. So, escalation being the process of making a moment more intense. Process of making a moment more intense. It's gradual forward momentum. So there's aspect of momentum and creating arousal. Escalation is how you create arousal. Escalation is how you create sexual tension. Escalation is how you create chemistry. So, to me, because it creates all these things, or it recognizes the natural patterns of human sexuality, it absolutely trumps everything else. This obviously includes things like what we talked about: having social proof, having an entourage, peacocking, having a wing, having a pivot, being a storyteller, doing the stuff like banter and teasing and breaking rapport. Escalating primarily non-verbally and quickly should obviously trump those things. But I also think it trumps things like looks. Looks are a luxury. Escalation is essential. These like good-looking guys, right? And there's a lot of them in the city. What is that site? Beautifulpeople.com, right? There's more people on that site, both men and women, from Sweden than any other country. So yeah, I can recognize there's good-looking guys here too, right? If they're not fucking escalating, they're getting nowhere. It may be more permissive here for women to initiate, for women to adopt the masculine role and to approach and escalate themselves. I still think that's kind of atypical. Man is action, woman is reaction. But you can't be like this good-looking guy and you wear cool clothes and you stand around being cocky and just like knowing nothing about seduction and waiting for those rare random opportunities, right? You want to manifest your destiny. You want to put these processes into play. You want to go out and create the opportunities. So looks are a luxury. Escalation is essential. Absolutely. Escalation is what I'm saying. It's how you take a woman who's somewhat interested and you make her very, very interested. And like I said, you can't wait around, play it safe. You can't look for indicators of her interest. Guys think escalation is only something you do like when you get a clear signal. Usually by the time you get that kind of signal, it's already, for the most part, too late to have done the kind of proactive escalation that would have like really solidified the moment, that would have really created this magical, intense, awesome time for the two of you. So, I said this earlier. Stop getting attention, start getting arousal, stop entertaining, start escalating. Let's add it all up. The seductive trumps the social, the nonverbal trumps the verbal, seeking sex trumps seeking affection. Creating arousal trumps creating desire. And escalation trumps all other attraction methods. I got to do this all again. But in one sentence, I'm going to read this specifically. Simple, seductive, nonverbal escalation is what leads to arousal, then sex, then the affection, etc. And that's what I teach. So this was the next screen. It looks like a lot of writing, but it's just the same screen as before with the application of the 80-20 rule. I mean, obviously you can't be seductive without also being somewhat social, right? And you'd have a tough time getting physical without ever saying a word. I teach nonverbal openers. Vince did too. He did some examples. But all the way to the bedroom. That's kind of crazy. So just employ the good old-fashioned 80-20 rule. Like work on seduction 80% of your time. Put your time and attention on being social only 20% of the time. Escalate non-verbally 80%, verbally 20%. Use as your motivator seeking or pursuing sex 80% of the time. And affection. And with that one in particular, it doesn't mean like, oh, this girl's special, she's on the affection path or some shit. It just means like recognize that there's that element at play, but the sex comes first, no matter. I don't know, it's kind of a flaw to be like, oh, this girl's different, She's still, you're insulting her if you don't pursue the natural path. It's a huge insult. You're letting yourself down. You're letting her down. Arouse her body 80% of the time. Convince her mind 20% of the time. Focus on your escalation 80% and other attraction methods 20%. That's the basis. That's the core of my 2 different talks combined. The savage triangle, the social, the seductive, and the sexual, the 5 trump cards. The other thing that I want to talk a little bit about, and this is what I teach in field, I will be doing in-field workshops tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. For locals, I'm going to be here at least a month. I had my phone number at the beginning. I'll put it up again. Please write it down. Call me, text me, whatever. It's a local number for Sweden. But yeah, just to talk real quick about kind of the methods that I teach in field, because it's based on the senses. It's utterly simple. Here's another trump card. Simplicity trumps complexity. That's kind of self-explanatory, but it's like the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, right? It's like the economy of effort. Usually the best solution is the simplest solution in many domains of life. So think of the senses, right? The sense of sight, it has to do with what you wear, your style, your fashion, your physique. You know, in addition to your attire, it's your physique, it's your build, it's your posture, it's your expressions, facial expressions, body expressions, how you carry yourself. So we kind of iron that stuff out. And the most important aspect of the sight sense is eye contact. So it's simple little things like don't be the first to break eye contact. Know how to seductively gaze, right? Know how to have this look where it's like, it's kind of like lowered eyelids and a little bit of a smirk, where it's like, I like you. It's 50% this. It's like 50% full on. I'm attracted to you. You're sexy. I really like you, right? And it's 50% like, I'm not sure about you. There's some, I don't know. It's push-pull in a look. So it's eye contact, it's eye gazing. Sound is your voice. It's talking, speaking, as well as listening and hearing. So it's the volume, the resonance, the projection, the tonality, the inflection. All these like micro elements of your voice, right? And it's also listening. Listening trumps talking. It's becoming a seductive listener. Talking is qualifying. Listening is screening. I'm speaking here, like think of any audience. You know, you screen a movie. You screen me like as a presenter, right? You're like, well, I'm going to listen to what he says. I'm going to take it in. I'm going to decide, you know, what resonates with me, what doesn't, what I should take in field, what I'm not. But yeah, I believe that. I'm qualifying you. I'm presenting myself. Man, I hope you like this. I hope this affects you and touches you and resonates with you in deep ways. You guys, you got the passive job. You sit back and screen. So to create a social dynamic and a seductive dynamic, more importantly, where you're the one that's doing most of the listening. You think that might be important? It is. It's sexy, right? And touch. Touch is what we call in the community kino. And most guys, they either never touch or they do it in a really awkward way. So to be comfortable with your touch, to become more effective, to know how to arouse her through touch, to create show bumps, to create that sense of, man, touch is just so awesome, man. There's so many nerve endings and so many hair follicles, so much stimulation. And it's not like you have to go for these erogenous zones, but it's like showing comfort with yourself, comfort as the kind of guy that can touch a woman he's just met, comfort with a woman's body. Like, this is not new terrain for you. This is like, okay, I've been here. It's showing dominance through touch, showing playfulness through touch, showing courage and humility through touch. Push, pull, all this really awesome dynamic stuff through touch. And then to relate it, remember, think of it this way. The sight's going to come first. They're in this order for a reason. You're going to make eye contact. You're going to appraise each other very quickly with your attire and your style and your physique and your posture and all this stuff. And then eye contact. Sight comes first. Sound typically comes next. And this can all happen in a second, right? When you do the approach, there's the eye contact. Hey, I had to come. And then your hand might already be on her waist. Or what do? Why do we shake hands with everyone, right? This is why touch is so important. Because we're reading so much from the other person. It's like, hey, you look interesting. I had to come say hi. I'm Jason. Sight, sound, touch, like that. To put the fourth sense on there, sense of smell, it's getting closer. Vince said something similar to that. I say, you smell really good. Like, something smells really good here. Ah, you're too sexy, like push-pull, right? But yeah, you close that proximity, get closer. Like this is seduction. The rest of society melts away. The rest of the environment disappears. The friends you came with or didn't, the friends she came with or didn't, do not matter. It's all in that look. It's in that sharing of the verbal dimension, and it's in the touch. More than anything, it's the look and the touch. These are the moments of surrender. The first look, the first touch, the first kiss. Kiss, you can call the fifth sense. You're tasting. And it's pretty much always going to be in this order. It's super duper simple. In writing, right? But then to become effective and like comfortable with it, and not comfortable in the sense that you're complacent, but comfortable in the sense that like you know yourself and trust yourself and value yourself. And you know how to take a woman through this process. It takes practice. And it takes often feedback from someone who's been there, someone who has that kind of experience. Okay, that's pretty much it, man. How do we look on time? Look at this. Couple additional qualities that I like, that I value about myself at least. Curiosity. This is a quote from Einstein. I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. That's like me as a little kid. Creativity. The world is but a canvas to the imagination. That's probably like the kid I would have someday. Courage. If you don't take a chance, you don't stand a chance. That's a student from my last boot camp. The field. Always remember this. The field is where theory meets practice. It's the social aspect. It's the opportunity and exposure aspect. It's the numbers game. Got to get yourself out there where theory meets practice. You can join me in field. There's my number again. Like I said, I'm going to be here a while. I really want to take guys out tonight and tomorrow and the next day. Yes?
You're only in Europe or only in Sweden?
For now, only in Sweden. I'm touring with Jonathan here, and we want to hit up Prague and Berlin, Amsterdam, wherever you guys are from. I got a book, the same one that I put these notes in. Make sure I get your contact information, especially if you're... You're what? You give me a call? You're from Holland?
Yeah, which comes from Holland?
Yeah, dude, I'm definitely coming there. Yeah, I'm definitely coming there. Just make sure you don't leave without exchanging contact information.
Guys, any questions? Take some questions.
Yes.
I have to look through my notes for this one though. Yeah, first question was, you're saying like your desire, her arousal, your arousal, her desire. So is that what you would say is your way of seeing how the process goes of guy meeting girl, simply said?
That is my simple way of describing the process of natural human sexuality.
Okay, yeah. And second question, I think I have to come back at it because
I think
can't
someone
find it.
just texted me. Yeah.
Second question, yeah, I have to come back at that because I can't find it. So
Okay.
someone else has a question.
Like, these trump cards, man, like, this is the essence of what I do, what I teach, and what I've done for years. Realizing, like, how one, because it's one thing to say, you know, this is social versus being seductive. This is arousal versus desire. It's another thing to say, look, I have tons of field experience. I've been with hundreds of women. And to say, this is what I've found to be true. This is a little bit more important than that. And to take that kind of stance, to have that kind of certainty, it's powerful. Like, look, I have these little ones that I'm always throwing around, right? Like massage trumps dance, right? But these are the 5 core ones.
And the second question was, when you were talking about touching,
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure, but I kind of get the vibe that you became better at it. And my question was, how did you become so comfortable with touching women as you are today, as opposed to, I don't know, 10 years ago or whenever
Okay.
you started?
That's a good question. The second part was, how did I become so comfortable with touch
Yeah.
specifically? And what was the first part, if you remember?
Oh no, the first part was just that I got the feeling that you improved it. So
Yeah, of course. Trial and error, mostly. You know, I constantly read books and studies on this kind of thing as well. But to be able to take it in field and to try new things, right? Foreplay begins on the opener. Touch begins basically on the opener. So to be comfortable and to do it playfully, you know, high five and spin around. You do like, I do all the playful stuff too, like,
okay,
you know, like the trust test. Remember that one?
yeah,
You know that?
you have the mystery, right? That they take your hands and stuff.
Mine's a little different because it's like a teaching tool, but I do that stuff and, you know, slaps and thumb wars, and that's
Okay.
like the playful. That's the flirtatious aspect.
Right.
Then the seductive aspect is knowing how to, like, your fingertips are lethal weapons of lust. Knowing how to use them to turn her on, to get her stimulated. This is how you, I don't know if I should say this. Well, Vince said something similar. Like, it's weird. Like, he's such an expressive, outgoing, extroverted guy, right? But there's a lot of similarities here. I'm much more laid back in my demeanor. Much more like casual, I guess, and authoritative at the same time. That's the aspect of dominance. But I say this thing, I'm like, you know, you want to know how you really, this is how you know if you like me. You're going to go to the bathroom, and you're going to take your panties off, throw them against the ceiling, and if they stick, that means you like me. That means it's on. But to just know you have that effect, where he was saying the same thing, like, you get her panties like dripping wet. I'm not concerned with convincing her, like, are we going to go out? Are we going to hang out? Are we going to go on a date? Is this really a date? Am I inviting her? Here's another interesting little thing, right? The old school idea of a date was like, you do something to impress her. Like, the epitome that, the classic is like dinner and a movie, right? You do something outside yourself to impress her. It's all this path. This path isn't just pickup, but it's a lower resonance of energy, so lower vibrational form than what's over here. So it's like dinner and a movie. Like, I'm not enough. Just connecting is not enough. I got to impress her. So the epitome is something like a hot air balloon ride, right? Got to really impress this girl. So that's old school. That's like, you know, back in the day. So the community came along and was like, you know, you gotta act detached. You gotta act like non-interested. All this whole idea of faking non-involvement and stuff. And they're like, you gotta invite her to things you're already doing. That's what pickup artists do, right? So it's either like, you know, if you're into whatever your hobby is, whatever you're into, you invite her along to that. Or it's like the simple shit, running errands and tasks. You know, I'm going to the grocery store, you should totally come with me. So that was the next level, right? The expression on this side, it's an expression, it's not impressing, is what Zan calls, and me and Jonathan are both students of Zan, right? Zan Perrion. He says, invite her to nothing. And his approach is like, I'm in town, and it's something kind of like, there's like a little bit of time constraint there. I'm in town for just a couple days. I really like your look. I like your vibe. We totally got to hang out. Come over. I'm staying here. And it's like, well, what are we going to do? I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. You should totally come over. Vince used something similar to that I do. He did something like a double bind. And I say, we're either going to have an excitingly good time or we're going to have an amazing adventure. Either way, it's going to be fun. The date is us getting to know each other. Period. Bottom line. I'm not here to impress you. How can we connect? How can we enhance and enrich each other's lives? That's the date. Anything else? Yes.
That the whole notion of sets going before fashion, it kind of goes against the rules that you've been taught anywhere and everywhere. And I guess what would happen if you put a fashion before sets? Can you give me some sort of context here so I can understand it better?
Before sex is the path right here. You're creating a sense of obligation. It's not. Let's explore that a little bit. Obligation versus lust. Do you want to have obligatory sex or do you want to have lustful sex? So you're seeking affection, you're seeking attention and validation and approval and acceptance and all these things, right? And she recognizes that. She's like, I've played this before. I know this game. So you're both on the level of game recognizes game. And she's playing the game. Oh, he's cute. He doesn't smell bad. I like this about him. I like this. I'm going to give him a chance. Oh, but he's playing those stupid games. Well, I like him. I'm going to play those too, okay? But it creates that sense of obligation. And a relationship will always continue on the path that it was started. It takes a lot of discipline on the part of both of you to break that pattern. But the opposite of that is lust. And lust kind of gets a bad rap, it's irresponsible or it's dangerous. Part of seduction is creating that sense of danger. It's many things. Like I was saying, adventure, excitement, romance, spontaneity, and living on the edge, right? Having that dangerous aspect about you. But lust is it's a desire, it's a craving, it's a hunger. You just are so into each other. It's mutual attraction, mutual admiration, mutual arousal, mutual desire at the same time. It's the whole loop. And you just want each other so badly, you can't resist, you can't hold back. Instead of saying, oh, third date, and well, he impressed me here, and he did this, and he bought this for me. The affectionate path. It's straight to the heart of the matter. Arousal, primal, physical nature. Does that make sense?
It does, and I guess I wonder, in the community, you get this notion that you have to have comfort before you escalate to, kissing, sets. Mm-hmm. But if I get you straight, you're saying you should just go straight to sets, straight to escalation. You have your warsaw.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. But where does the comfort fall in your scheme?
In my reality, comfort is mostly physical safety. If she feels safe around me and she's comfortable with my escalation, that's about it. It's not this sense of
It's nonverbal, kind of,
It's nonverbal, yeah. Nonverbal comfort. Was there another part to that?
No.
Okay, cool. Thank you, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.